huge, major spoiler warning. With all that said, let's get right into the video. The interesting thing in the episode to me was the fact that Ida sports some memories, such as she remembers that she hates the Emperor and she breaks out of her bubble and attacks him. Also, the Emperor can do magic without a circle, but Lilith can do it as well, so this could just be another way of doing magic. Another big part we can see is the Emperor's staff displays no talisman, instead a red glowing orb. So his staff seems more technological than a normal witch staff. And this could be that because he's the Emperor, he gets something more powerful than everyone else, or that the Titan's power might be inside this orb, giving him all the powers he needs. And another thing that this could be is because maybe that talisman we saw him drink the green goo out of was his old talisman that he felt was useless and he didn't need anymore once learning of this orb. Wanted to note that the talisman seems to be a chameleon, which if it's Emperor Bolos' talisman, that would be an interesting reflection on his character, depending on what the chameleon symbolizes. We're introduced to this new mysterious character who we saw in Agony of a Witch. I pointed that out in my Agony of a Witch review, so if you haven't already, go check that out. Also, in my opinion, for some reason, I think this person has a strong resemblance to Hootie. Maybe this person has a past with Hootie, or was the one who created Hootie, or could be Ida's mom or something. And also, this person seems to be the Emperor's private spy, and I think it would be interesting to learn who they are, because once we learn who they are, it would be interesting if we look back in episodes and it turns out this person was a person we saw before and we didn't even know it. Because once they take off their mask, they're really anybody. Just a quick thought, I wonder what Lilith's talisman would be like in the show. Probably a lot more selfish or manipulative with Hootie or something. Just something I want to see. In the episode, we see two other teenagers of who we can assume to be Amity's mother and father. I think this because the teenager we see has green hair and looks a lot like Amity. The similarities are intriguingly interesting. Plus, also, I wonder why they're there. They could be supporting Lilith, or maybe Amity's mom was friends with Ida, because as we see in Winged Like Witches, there's a photo of Ida and this mysterious person with green hair. Of now looking at this other teenage person who we can assume to be Amity's mom, the green hair matches with this other green hair, which means that this person might actually be Amity's mother, and that Ida and Amity's mom used to hang out, and maybe Amity's mom started being a jerk and evil because she lost her best friend being Ida. And maybe Amity's father is there to support Lilith. Maybe they were friends, because maybe Lilith got jealous of Ida hanging out with Amity's mother, so Lilith started hanging out with Amity's mother's boyfriend, who was Amity's father. And yeah, seems about right. That would explain why Lilith is Amity's mentor. Plus, I hope to see in the future that because Lilith has now joined the side of Ida, Luce, and King, that Amity goes to the Owl House and it's not only hanging out with Luce, but now she's training with Lilith still, even though her parents wouldn't want her to. So it would kind of be like a secret thing between the two of them, and her parents would never have to know, but eventually Amity's parents are going to catch on to what she's been doing. Also, just look at Amity's mom. She looks like the manipulative type. And then look at what we can assume to be Amity's father. He looks not interested in what Ida and Lilith are doing, and he looks like as if he were dragged there because Amity's mom wanted him to see how great Ida or Lilith is. By the way, she might be the actual main antagonist. But of course, this would only be for season 2. She probably divides Amity from the rest of the group, learning that Amity stopped hanging out with Basha and Skara from those kids' parents. And then Emperor Bellows and Kikimora would come back in season 3, and we learn about the Day of Unity, and then they probably stop it, and etc. But I digress. I understand that most people would assume that it's an animation error when the light glyph does plant magic, but I think it's just another way to show how Luce is expanding her expertise. We see this with the fire glyph because before it would turn into fire and that's it. But now the fire glyph is able to levitate fire and it's able to melt bars and somehow it doesn't disappear. I find this especially intriguing because it seems like as if Luce is learning how to do magic with her mind. Because in the episode Adventures in the Elements, in Amity's book it says focus. So maybe Luce is starting to become like all the other witches, and all her magic now is starting to come from her mind when she focuses on what she wants the glyph to do. Probably that's why the light glyph did plant magic, because she made the light glyph change how the magic works on it. We see that the worm Emperor Bellows sends to fight Luce is the one we see in the intro for the Owl House, and I see this as in the intro it was foreshadowing for how Emperor Bellows would come close to catching them because the worm goes forward and it almost eats them until cut to the next scene. That type of thing. So it's really cool. And I would like to see more of that in Season 2. I hope they have a new intro in Season 2, because I really don't like how they haven't changed the whole Amity thing. They're still kind of having her, in the intro being, dismissive and not liking Luce, so I hope they change that in Season 2. And I also hope that in Season 2 we get a lot more of Amity, because I really like Amity's character, and I hope to see her in the future in more episodes. I also find it interesting how when Luce jumps into the worm and puts a fire spell inside of it, right before it blows up, you can see fire glyph stains. And that's how we met the fire glyph the first time, because when they throw the fireball right at Luce, she does an ice glyph, and then once it comes out of the ice glyph, you see that it remains the fire glyph. So it's interesting that we get to see this again. Speaking of that fire glyph, as soon as Luce tries to use the fire glyph in the human realm, it disintegrates. This would make sense because the island, as seen in Adventures in the Elements, is made up of magic, and the human realm isn't. Therefore, it would disintegrate because it doesn't know what to do. There's no magic there to make it, magic. And plus, Luce isn't a witch, so she couldn't just draw a circle or use her hands in and do the magic. Lilith was able to do magic because all her magic comes from a biosac. Therefore, it would make sense that she's able to do it. It's interesting to me how Luce is able to use just a light glyph and that snaps Ida back to normal. It seems like as if the light glyph is a lot stronger than we think. It was Luce's first spell, which is an important spell, which means that maybe in the future this is how they're going to use the light lift. They might use the light lift to snap Ida back to normal if she ever deals with the bird form again. But if she deals with the bird form, you know that Lilith is going to be a part of that. And maybe Lilith will have her own raven transformation. That would be pretty cool. Or maybe Ida learns how to control her bird form and just use it on parts of her body, like super sharp claws on one hand and feathers on the other. And maybe she gets wings or something. I don't know, but it seems pretty cool. Her gem's still dark, so we don't know what the possibilities could be. And Lilith is a part of whatever Ida goes through with this curse, so anything is on the tables here, guys. I bet a lot of you didn't notice this, but in the first day we get some foreshadowing for Ida's gray eye. We can see on the puppet that one of its buttons is gray. And then later on in the episode, we see that Ida gets a gray eye due to Lilith and her sharing the curse now. Hoping Lilith has a raven transformation, but that's not the point. So when King shows loose a part of the book, it's burnt, so I'm going to read what I think it is. And not read some parts because, well, I'm not best at putting words together, so I might skip some parts, just saying that ahead of time. Before he ascended to the throne, Emperor Belos prominence as a crusader for unity during the Savage Ages. He believes that chaos comes from wild witches, and he can bring peace by controlling such magic in Coven system. It would be interesting if this author is Azura. It makes sense. I mean, unless Luce is Azura, which would make sense. If they do a flash forward 20 years and we see that Luce is Azura and that her hair is green because of Amity, I would actually be super amazed by this. I don't think it would be a bad thing. In the episode, we can also spot some of the wanted criminals, such as Scratcher reward 40,000 snails. And finally, someone who was kind of interesting to me, Three-Eyed Toad reward 000, so we don't get a number before that. But I wonder where the third eye is. I didn't see it, but if you guys saw it, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you to my new subscribers, and with all that said, signing off.